There's a retirement mistake that I see over and over again, and it's not necessarily somebody who's going to be bad with their money or undisciplined or just careless, right? Typically, who I see it happen to are people who have saved consistently, were smart with their money, disciplined, and just did about everything right. And yet, this one mistake shows up late when it's harder to fix. So today I'm going to walk you through what that mistake is, why it happens, and why waiting too long can quietly cost you much more than people think. Most people think that retirement planning is all about accumulating wealth, right? And for the most part, that's true, especially in the early years. But at some point, that challenge is going to shift from building wealth to using it efficiently. Research consistently shows that many people will delay those key retirement planning decisions until just before retirement or even after retirement, often taking the approach of, I'll figure it out later, right? I'm sure everybody knows somebody that takes that approach to something. The problem is that some of the most impactful decisions when it comes to retirement planning will be time sensitive. So if you wait too long, your options might not necessarily disappear on you, but they will be limited. The mistake isn't saving too little. It's waiting too long to shift from accumulation thinking to planning thinking. Many people will assume or think that, I'll deal with taxes later, or I'll worry about my income when I retire, or I'll make adjustments when something changes, right? But just like most plans, retirement planning isn't reactive. It's going to be sequenced, or it needs to be sequenced. Once you cross certain ages, income levels, or account balances, decisions will start stacking up on each other. One of the most common examples is tax planning. A large percentage of retirement assets are held in pre-tax accounts like your 401ks and traditional IRAs. According to the Investment Company Institute, roughly 2/3 of all household retirement assets are held in tax-deferred accounts, which is great while you're saving, right? Because it's lowering your taxable income and you're not being taxed on it every single year. But later, RMDs, Social Security taxation, and Medicare premiums can stack together in ways that most people don't anticipate. The mistake isn't doing something wrong, it's assuming that taxes are a future problem. In reality, the best tax planning strategies happen right before retirement or in the early stages of retirement, right? Taxes don't surprise people. We all know that we have to pay them, but the timing of it does. Another example is income. Many people think that retirement income starts the day they retire, but income planning is really all about the transition, right? So how income flows before, during, and after work ends. Research shows that retirees often rely on Social Security and will delay pulling from their investment assets, even if they could afford to do so strategically. When income planning starts late, people will default to caution and not strategy. Estate planning is another area where a delay can create a problem. All right. So life changes, family changes, laws change, and accounts change, right? Everything's going to be changing over time. Yet surveys consistently show that a significant amount of people who have meaningful assets don't have an updated estate plan, or they haven't reviewed it in years. The mistake isn't ignoring estate planning altogether, although that doesn't help. It's assuming that what worked years ago is still going to be enforced today. So why does this happen, especially to capable, intelligent people? Well, there are going to be a few reasons. One, they've always solved their problems later, and it's worked out for them. In careers and businesses, sometimes delaying your issues can create new opportunities. Retirement planning is different. Number two, nothing feels urgent just yet, right? No pain doesn't mean no cost. Three, planning feels abstract. Spreadsheets don't create urgency, consequences do. Behavioral research shows people underestimate long-term planning risks when short-term outcomes feel stable. When this mistake shows up late, it often looks like people paying higher lifetime taxes, fewer options to smooth income, rigid withdrawal patterns, and anxiety when it comes to spending, even if they have the money to do so. None of these feel dramatic in the moment, but they accumulate quietly. And, no retirement expenses are going to show up as line items in your ledger, right? You need to be made aware of these before they happen. So what's the shift? Instead of asking yourself, how much do I have? Ask, how flexible is my plan? What decisions are based on time? Where do trade-offs exist? And what happens if markets and taxes change? The goal isn't perfection. It's clarity before restraints. If you're still working, this matters even more. Some of the biggest retirement decisions happen before RMDs kick in, before Social Security starts, before income tax brackets compress, and before estate plans become outdated. Waiting doesn't make planning simpler. It actually decreases your planning options. The retirement mistake that smart people make isn't a lack of intelligence or discipline. it's assuming that there will always be time to optimize later, right? I'm just going to push it aside. There often is time, just not as much as people think. And the earlier you switch from accumulation to intentional planning, the more control you keep. Good planning isn't about predicting the future. It's about keeping your options open. Thank you for coming to today's episode of Tommy 2 Cents. Appreciate you taking the time to watch. If you'd like, or if you have any other questions, please feel free to click on the link below to schedule a consultation with me. I'm Tommy Warner. Take it easy.